Real talk, raw truth, raging hearts. Welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats. Like, share, and subscribe. Hi, I'm Heather, and welcome to From the Minds of Raging Brats.
I'm Ashley. How's everyone doing?
I think we're doing pretty good over here. I did want to talk about 4th of July that was just yesterday. I don't know. It felt heavy. Like, I know a lot of people didn't even celebrate. Myself, I did go and celebrate, and even out there during the celebration, it felt more like a holiday to blow shit up and just be your redneck ass self, more than it felt like the country's birthday.
Yeah, definitely felt like what the rest of the world kind of mocks America for, like we were kind of epitomizing.
Yeah, I don't know. It felt like the spirit of America has just kind of deflated this year. Like like it kind of feels like, and I know this is going to sound a little weird, but it kind of feels like the Statue of Liberty, instead of being a Statue of Liberty, was just a blow up impression of the Statue of Liberty and somebody unplugged her.
I wish I had the artist's name right now. But there is actually an artist over in France. He revealed this painting, a huge painting on the side of a building over there in France, and it's the Statue of Liberty crying with her hands held over her face. And they revealed that yesterday morning because how is she a symbol for immigrants and freedom and new beginnings when everything that's happening is actively saying we're against immigration right now? Or at least I'll say everything within our government, not the general people of the US.
Yeah, but right now it's really hard because even those that are most patriotic in the past, that I've known anyways, now are kind of just sitting here going, I mean, does it really feel like anybody should be patriotic? It feels devastating and desolate, and people are kind of sitting here going, well, we want to celebrate, we still want to do some things because this is when it is. And for those that like their fireworks, myself included, like, we know that we get very few opportunities a year to have a bunch of fireworks all day, all night. So, I mean, I did that. I have quite a bit of video of different fireworks from all over the place that I've got to edit out the pauses from, but I'll be uploading, not necessarily to our channel, but I'll be uploading later to my other social medias. Because the fireworks were still beautiful, but like it didn't feel like 4th of July. It felt like just a day when people could blow shit up.
Yeah. Like, and I had posted about it. I was like, this feels the least like 4th of July, America's Independence Day, than it has ever felt like to me. Like, my son and his grandma did fireworks. I seen a couple of them, like, but every other year up until this year, I was excited for 4th of July, and I would talk to Lakota even about, the Declaration of Independence and what it took to get to that day and our history. And, like, this year, I just looked at him and I looked at my mom and I was like, you guys have fun. Like, because I know the history of our country is important, but this year I was almost like, can I teach him the history of our country when right now our country is making irreparable decisions that will be in history in a very negative connotation?
Yeah, it's really hard no matter what side of the politics you're on these days. There's no winning side anymore. There's no there's no right side anymore. It's just all wrong. It
Yeah.
feels like everything's wrong.
Yeah, like my mom, and like she even says she realizes it's probably not like the best way to have gone about voting, but she always said she voted for the lesser of two evils. No matter Republican, Democrat, that's just who she did. She's like, this election, she's like, what lesser of two evils? She's like, I see equal evil. I see equal, like, tragedy happening. Like, and she is like, and now that certain things and certain bills, especially, that have been passed, she's like, what's the point? They're openly saying they're not going to take votes into account, that they're going to do what they want, and they're going to lead this country however which way they see fit. That is what we literally got on a giant boat for, sailed to a whole new continent, and then waged a war against their homeland for.
The whole reason for 4th of July.
Exactly. And it's sad because, like, so every generation lives through, like, a shitstorm of historical happenings. But I feel so bad for, like, Lakota, because I feel like not just COVID, like, happened in his lifetime, but now he's really at 13 years old looking around and being like, I don't know if I can trust my government. I don't think they actually have my best interests at heart as the next generation of this country. A teenager shouldn't not be looking around him being like, I think the government doesn't care if I live or die.
No, that should definitely not be a thought process that should be on our teenagers' minds.
It shouldn't, but, like, Lakota watches the news every day. Like, which is odd for a 13-year-old, but he does. He sits down and he watches the news, like, during dinner or whatever, like, and he'll come out and talk to me about news stories, like, what does this mean, Mom? What is going on? Like, he's already come to me, thanks to, as of yesterday's bill being signed, and being like, what does this mean? What does this mean when they say they aren't going to have protections for this? What does this mean when they're saying they're taking this right away? And I'm trying to find the most delicate way possible to talk to him in an age-appropriate way and not scare him.
Yeah. I think it's really weird. We're in a really weird time where so many people feel betrayed by the system, by the government, the courts, their neighbors. And those of us that grew up believing in the idea of freedom, independence, liberty, we're all realizing or starting to realize or very quickly coming up on the realization that not everyone had freedom and liberty. And for those that did, it's starting to slip away too. Like, it feels like we are starting to head towards World War II occupied Germany.
There are so many similarities right there, and, like, I'm always careful to be like, don't call people Hitler, don't call, like, things Gestapo, like, don't, because that was a horrific point in time, and it's something because of my own morbid curiosity and my love of history that I've studied a lot, especially, like, the beginnings before he was fully in power, and I can't help but tie so many similarities that I almost gotta wonder if they're, working off a similar playbook.
Who knows? But what I do know is that we are constantly in this country, especially in the last decade, working on erasing our more dark and unpopular history. And the fastest way to repeat history is to erase, forget, or ignore it.
I completely agree. Like, over in Germany, like, those horrible things happened, but if you go over there and you look, they have not torn down their concentration camps. They do not hide figures in history that did horrible things. They encourage you to walk in and see these things happened and we must never allow it to happen again.
Yeah, we said it before on our podcast, and I will say it again. We are very quickly sliding into territory of, if you don't speak for one group, who's going to be there to speak for you at the end when you're the only one left?
Mm-hmm. People have brought up, like, Anne Frank, especially when I was a kid. People are like, how did that happen? How did not more people want to help? Like, how did it get to that point? But I think what the point we're at right now, you need to be able to look at you, your family, and be whatever, and be like, would I be the person willing to hide a family in my attic? Like, would I be willing to stand up against my own government for what is right?
I think that's a question that a lot of Americans are asking themselves this year. Like, where does the Constitution get enforced and the people say, remember, this is the foundation of our country? We're not going to sit back and watch a handful of people destroy the foundation of something so beautiful and magnificent that people, countries, other people from around the world have yearned for,
Mm-hmm.
even while living a good life. I'm not saying everybody that wants to come to America is poverty stricken and has no advantages, because that's not true.
Not at all.
People at the top of the top want to come here because of the advantages. But at what point do we forget our roots enough to where we just become another cog in the wheel of the machine that the government has chosen us to be?
I agree. Like, I think so many people forget how this country was truly founded. But this country was founded because we were rebels. We looked at the royals and said, you are not going to treat us like less than. You are not going to tell us what to do. You are not going to impose your taxes without it going to help the greater good of us. And I'm just saying, if you look at the state of things right now, maybe it's time that we did stand up to our government again. We did let them know that we aren't okay with the things that are going on around us.
Yeah, I think that the word freedom, even for this country, might be changing, which is sad, because it's not about flags and anthems anymore. We have bigger fights like body autonomy and rights and equality, which in 2025 should not be at the forefront of the wars that we're waging internally in this country.
Right?
I mean, and when those things are being stripped away left and right, it's hard to celebrate the country and feel real, feel authentic. And I know, because I did it. Like, I celebrated, I did all the things like I would. I made all the foods, I went and watched the fireworks, and throughout the whole thing, I just felt this sense of, like, yeah, I was like, "Oh, pretty fireworks." And yeah, I joke here and there when people were talking to me, but like, even on my fireworks video, you can hear everybody else talking, but only me only occasionally, even when people are speaking directly to me, because I was just feeling blah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is definitely hard to celebrate when you know so many people in your own country can't be celebrating because of the things that are currently happening. I don't know, like, it just didn't seem as joyful. Like, I feel like a lot of years that myself and I know a few others included, like during Independence Day, like we kind of think about, wow, how far this country has come from what we were to what we are now. And this year, I kind of feel like, well, I we're regressing. We are regressing decades upon decades, like, and I don't know how much we can honestly do about it now with that certain bills have passed and people can just do whatever they want. They don't have to go through due process. They don't have to get court approval. Like, how do you fight against complete control?
Well, you know, that's a different conversation.
Well,
Um,
I meant legally. I was talking legal ways because
I know. So was I. I just mean that's a very nuanced, in-depth conversation that
yeah.
goes deeper
Mm.
than where I'm trying to go with this episode. I don't necessarily want to dive too deep into the actual politics because I kind of want to know how many other people are out there feeling like maybe 4th of July felt more like a grieving process,
Yeah.
or if they felt disconnected, or if they still felt truly patriotic. And if so, tell me how. Tell me why.
Right?
I would love to learn something new that may help me reconnect with the feeling that I have lost over the last year with this country.
Right? Like,
Um,
if it's like, do you not watch the news like all the time? Do you like just feel so deeply connected to this country that even though maybe some fuckery's happening, you don't care, it's still America's birthday? Which I know a lot of people, that's the stance they took. They don't care what's going on. It's the country's birthday, man, and they were gonna celebrate.
that's kind of why I did it, but it didn't feel authentically 4th of July.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know, like, I was talking to quite a few people today about it, and they're like, we did all our normal stuff. I went and seen Grandma and Grandpa, had the barbecue, like, all of that, but they're like, and it's always tiring, but this year it just felt exhausting and pointless.
Yeah, and it's not that I don't love my country, I do, but I don't love what it's doing to the people within it.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people that, because of the divide and stuff, like, part of it for them was they didn't have, like, all the family that they're used to having during 4th of July, just because there's been too many arguments through the years. So then they're like, instead of my, like, 50, 60 person cookout, I had, like, 10 people here. And it didn't
Yeah.
feel like 4th of July.
Yeah, that's hard. And honestly, politics is one of the leading things that separates families and friends anyway. Just the conversation.
Yeah. And like we've said a few times on our podcast, like, it is one of the reasons I treasure, like, yours and I's friendship so much, because there are some things that we have polar opposite views on. And we can have, like, intense discussions about it, but it's never an argument. We're never trying to change each other's opinions. We're just stating how we feel and why we feel it. And it's always been a safe space no matter what our differing views have been.
Mhm. Yeah, because first of all, I love you as a person. And I loved you before I knew your political views anyways.
Yep.
But even when your political views clash with me, I listen to your reasoning and I understand the logic behind it, even if I don't agree.
Exactly. Like, I'm always willing to hear you out, even if I'm not gonna change my opinion. I like knowing how you think about it. Like, and I know, like, neither one of us are gonna get angry if the other one has opposing views, because what the fuck is the point of that?
Well, and sometimes our conversations have led to changing views.
Yeah.
So it's always good to hear somebody out and educate yourself, even if you think you know it all.
Mm-hmm. Not agree more. Like, I do understand how it's very difficult. Like, And I know for some people, like, they didn't do fireworks this year because of all the amount of, like, wildfires that we've had in the past, like, 5 years, that they're just like, I just don't do it at all anymore. Like, it doesn't feel right at this point. And, like, I can understand that. Like, especially the people that lost their houses during those wildfires, and now, like, especially I'll say, like, where I am, the people that were lighting off the freaking mortars, illegal mortars, like, that stuff was, the hot embers were raining down in our yard, like, hit my mom, like, stuff like that. And luckily, me and my mom are, like, rather paranoid about fire, honestly. So all day on the 4th, we're, like, dousing our yard, spraying it, all water up into our giant trees for hours. So there's not a chance anything's gonna catch on fire. Like, Lakota has a small area that we, like, keep dry for him, and then that's it. And we immediately douse that area once it's done. But
Yep.
better safe than sorry.
Yeah, no, and that's responsible firework lighting, fire prevention care.
Yeah. Well, it's like around here. So my mom, her rules have always been the same during fireworks. You have multiple hoses going, you got sprinklers going, you got a bucket of water to put all the sprinklers out in after they're done. I thought that was the law. My mom, like, was so about it. But this year is actually the first year that Medford has had an ordinance where you have to have a bucket of water and multiple hoses going. Or, like, a hose and a sprinkler. Like, this is the first year it's a ticketable offense not to have it. And I'm like, and I just looked at my mom, I'm like, the first year? She's like, we were always safe. Because I thought it was...
Yeah, my parents would do it out in the middle of the road, and they would go... Back then, we didn't have mortars going off at ever, except for the actual big fireworks shows. So they'd wet the road down and leave the hose running in the gutter while we lit off fireworks. And every time a firework finished, whether it was a dud or not, they'd soak it and then kick it into the gutter where the hose water was running until the end of the show. And then he'd put them all in a bucket to sit overnight.
Yep. Because you never know. Like,
you really don't.
Yeah. And, like, I will say, like, for me, this year, like, because, like I said, Lakota and Mom did their thing. Like, Lakota gotta do a lot more fireworks and do a lot more himself than I would usually allow. Because a lot of the ones they got were, like, handheld and shot shit off and, like, went boom and it's, like, hand, but he was supposed to hold it. Like, and I was like, this is me letting my kid do it. I have to step back and let him because I'm a little paranoid. And if my kid's ever gonna grow up, I got to let him do the things.
Yep. Even if it's hard.
Yeah. And see, like, I know our audience is adults, but I almost wonder if, like, for the teenagers and the kids, if it still felt like 4th of July to them. Or if it was mainly the adults.
I don't think Bear felt like it was really 4th of July yesterday because he didn't help anything get ready. Nothing when we got there. Instead of sitting to watch the fireworks with the moms and the kids, he went to walk the property, kick people out that didn't belong with the guys.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're not going to watch the fireworks? He's like, nah, just record them for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes me sad. Like, I hope that we're not losing the tradition of what 4th of July, like, remembering our country, like, thinking of our veterans, like, getting together with family. Like, I hope as an American society we're not starting to lose that.
I think it's just hard for a lot of people. You know, most people I know love 4th of July, except for a few veterans, but that's because of PTSD, not because they didn't love 4th of July.
Yeah.
But, like, when you think of all the things the barbecue, the sparklers, the nostalgia, and all the things of the past of 4th of July. And then you think about how things are in this country now, and even those memories hit different. It's like, damn, we once actually had more than we do now.
Mhm.
And when you're wide awake to injustice, it makes it really hard to shy away from that and act like it's not real. And honestly, you can still love a place and still call it out. Like, that's
Exactly.
not a betrayal. That's not betrayal. That's not treason. That's just parenting a broken system. Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm coming in to let you know that this is not okay.
Like, my mom and I were talking about it because I told her yesterday, I was like, I just doesn't feel right. And we were talking about it, and I was like, earlier when I was thinking about it, I wanted to say, like, it, I miss what America was or what it was used to be, but then I stopped. I was like, no, I don't, because a lot of shit happened that still isn't okay. I was like, okay, so what I think I miss is the child assumption of what America was. The complete freedom, the protection, we are the best, the programming that they put in, like, and I really believe, especially on 4th of July, it was such an important day and so important to show that we loved our country and everything it was. And now as I'm becoming older and older, I'm like, but I don't. And it's really hard to pretend.
Well, that's like Memorial Day is still a semi big deal, but when we were growing up, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Veterans Day, those were like major freaking holidays.
Yeah. Mm.
Now, Veterans Day, half the time people don't even know it's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, honestly, like, I can't lie. Like, there is somebody that I worked with that he is a veteran, and on Memorial Day, he was just like, nobody cares about Memorial Day. No, we're not going to do anything like for Memorial Day. And we have veterans. We have people that passed away there, like, that were veterans, and we don't do anything for. And I'm like, this bothers me. This bothers me a whole lot. Like, this helped build our country. And by the way, like, these veterans that are in here will eventually be part of Memorial Day, and for you to not even care, that's very disrespectful.
Yeah, most people only care about Memorial Day nowadays because it's a 3-day weekend.
Exactly. Like, there is a big group of children that have no idea why we actually celebrate Memorial Day. They just know it's their 3-day weekend from school.
And that's sad.
And maybe that's why it just doesn't feel like the holiday it used to. Like, it's so much different. Kids were taught, like, what it was and what it meant to celebrate 4th of July. Whereas now it's someday in the middle of summer. Your parents might get paid a few extra bucks for the hours they worked that day. You get together with family at the end of the day and you blow stuff up.
Well, and like, how do we protect their hope without lying to them? The hope that they have of freedom and justice and liberty for all. Um, how do we talk about whether or not it's safe to celebrate like we used to if we're Black, brown, LGBTQIA plus, neurodivergent, or disabled kids? Like, how do we tell them that they're going to be safe to celebrate and celebrated like everybody else, when you and I damn well know that in today's day and age it is a much less safer world than when we grew up?
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy.
And then, do we just keep faking it like even our parents did? Or, do we tell them how terrible it is, the country that we live in, and that we want them to have rights, but realistically It just depends on the mood of the government at the time.
It's one of my current battles right now, man.
Like, and then, not even just the kids, but like people who run around still wearing the flag, bold and proud, but they won't speak up. They won't make a comment when the person next to him is arrested by ICE and beaten down because they were brown without even checking if they were legal or not. But because you're afraid you're going to get hit, you just stand there in your flag shirt or flag pants or your flag tattoos and stay quiet.
And like kids are perceptive, man. Like how do you answer your kid when he asks how is America the best when I see what the rest of the world is actually saying about us?
Yeah. And the weaponization of freedom by people who deny others theirs, people in power that often are misusing it, not even using it correctly, but misusing it. How some people can still party like nothing's wrong because the country was built to protect them, when little do they know their freedoms are eroding while they dance.
Mm-hmm.
Patriotism isn't trauma bonding with your flag. It's supposed to be accountability. And that means for all, and especially for those in power. Don't call it freedom if your land of the free has cages, bans, and book burnings.
That part. How dare they try to sell us independence and freedom while they systematically strip it with a smile on their face and expect us to comply.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm a person that doesn't like to see what's going on outside of my local community because my anxiety is hard, but you can't turn a blind eye when you are being stripped of every freedom, because pretty soon, if you do, there won't be a community left for you to just focus on.
Like
You won't have that freedom.
I would like to just point out something at the beginning of this podcast. We made it pretty clear that I was the political one. I was the one that liked to get in arguments about it, and I was the one that wanted to talk about it. Heather did stay back. She's like, "That's some bullshit. That's some drama. Whatever." But now, even because of everything that's happened, even a blatant person that's like, "I do not like to talk about politics. I do not like to know," is saying, "I cannot not know for my own safety and the safety of my community and my people."
Yeah. If you're an adult member, I mean, children can too, but honestly, I'm still a believer that children should be children. We should tell them what's going on and teach them, but in age appropriate ways, because this burden should not be laid on them while they are children.
I do completely agree. If they happen to watch the news and they have questions, that's one thing, but do not go seek your children out and be like, "Do you want to know what happened today and why we're fucked?" No. Let them not wonder about it while they can. Please.
Yeah, I remember the first time that Trump was elected, I wanted to unalive myself. And it just happened to happen while, at the time, I was visiting my minor child in a psychiatric inpatient facility. They would not let me see my son until I was emotionally stable again, which was like 13 hours before I got to see him, because they're like, "We understand you're here because this is your time with him and all the things, but also this can be detrimental as hell for him."
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, but don't you think the state of the country will be detrimental as hell for him? And they're like, regardless of what it may or may not be, that's not his burden to bear, that's yours.
Yep.
It's why, like I said, it's why for the most part I stay out of it, because my anxiety doesn't deal with all the crap that it's got going on here locally. I don't need to add to it. But then when it becomes so blatantly obvious that that they are going to do everything in their power to make America not free and make people not have bodily autonomy or liberties or freedoms, then yeah, it becomes everybody's problem.
Yeah.
And, you know, honestly, literally, I had a friend that didn't leave her couch on 4th of July. She stayed in her pajamas and watched trash TV the entire day until she went to bed.
Yeah, I know.
Didn't even see one firework.
Yeah, I know several people that chose to do that because they're like, why put in the effort? Like, I'm comfortable here, I'm good here, I don't really feel like it's that much of a celebration, so gonna take the day off and relax. And some of us didn't even take the
Well,
day off.
well, and I tend to, when I get home from regular fireworks, I tend to turn on fireworks around the country
Mm-hmm.
shows. And I had it on for like 2 minutes and I was like, I don't even want to watch this. And I turned it off.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I've definitely reached the age where I'm like, fireworks are cool. That's nice. Like, but honestly, if there wasn't a bunch of people having fireworks in the middle of the roads everywhere, I would go do something else for 4th of July. Like, go camping. Like, if I had my means to, like, I would have definitely rather been out in the woods. Like, even though I'd hate jumping in waterfalls, and you know this, I would have rather jumped in a waterfall than. It would have been more entertaining for me.
Not only entertaining, but man, this year more than ever, being stuck without being able to camp is like, I feel an overwhelming amount of crap that normally I release when I'm in nature that I just let go of. Like nature regrounds and refocus me. I feel like I'm carrying that all in my body so tense that everything, even my chiropractor is like, every week you've been in. Like last year, I didn't see you once a week. I think more than twice all year. I was like every 2 to 4 weeks I was seeing you. Now I'm seeing you every week, and we're still not getting anything loosened up. Something's going on. I'm like, yeah,
No, I need trees at the
lots of
water.
stuff's going on.
I need the water.
I need the mountains. I need the water. I need nature, and I need our country to get their heads out of their behinds.
Right, put specifically in that order. Mm-hmm.
You know, some of us, I guess, needed to grieve yesterday. Some of us needed to gather and do our normal routines. Some of us needed to gather and pretend to do our normal routines just to be okay. Some of us raged in silence or out loud. All of that is okay. All of that is survival
Whatever you
in
need to,
difficult times.
whatever you need to do to help yourself feel at your best, do that. No need for a celebration, no need to be around people or loud noises if that is not what you wanted or needed from that day.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes you do all the right things and it still doesn't just hit. And that's okay too, because, you know, you might have just outgrown what that used to mean to you. And there's no wrong way to feel when our country is in disarray and they tell you to go ahead and celebrate your freedoms that have been stripped away from you.
Yeah. It is more than okay to be angry and to have chosen not to celebrate or to have done the exact opposite. It is whatever works for you.
Yeah, we really need to remind ourselves and each other that once upon a time, this country spent a lot of times doing things like this together because we valued each other, regardless of what our government was doing, regardless of what fuckery they were trying to pull on us. We just embraced each other and what this country meant to us. And I feel like we have started getting away from that in a way that is super unhealthy. But I also feel like with as many people waking up to the reality of how bad it's gotten, the 4th of July could evolve into something even more beautiful than it was before if we start to pause, educate ourselves, ask the right connections, or ask the right questions, and connection with one another, with your community at large, with your country at large. Like, get to know what it is that you may be fighting for. Get to know the people that could have your back when or if something goes wrong in this country.
Yes, you'd be surprised how undivided our country actually is if you would just get out and talk to your neighbors. A lot of news, a lot of things are going out telling us that we're more divided than we've ever been. That we hate our neighbors like we've never hated our neighbors before. But you know what? Every single day, I see my neighbors helping each other, whether it's somebody gets a flat tire and the neighborhood comes out and we're helping, or the kid down the road is growing tomatoes for the first time and we're all giving her tips and hints, and like, the you have to talk to people, you have to open yourself up, and in doing that you will see a community and gain a community that you may not have known was possible if you just listen to what they say is going on in your communities.
Yeah. And I know that my neighbors here locally, this community is still a community that waves at each other as you walk or drive past. One of my neighbors has a cherry tree down the road, and we asked if we could pick some cherries, and she was like, "Sure." She's like, "But you might want to check into it before you eat them because I think they're the kind of cherries you can't eat." And then a friend told me that there's something called crabapple cherries that you can't eat, so I'm gonna have to look it up
Yeah.
and find out if those are them. But like, even that just shows the level of community that is possible.
Exactly. She could have just been like, sure, sure.
Yeah. And we really we could help more than just our own communities, but getting back to some of the older ways of everybody knowing each other and keeping an eye out for each other. And I'm saying this, somebody that is an introvert that prefers to not know anybody or leave my four walls. I still think that the community is better. Like, I know my neighbors' names, most of them. I know when stuff gets dropped off at the wrong address, we take it over to our neighbors. We don't cause a scene or do weird shit. I've never had a package stolen off of my porch. I mean, that's because we have a good neighborhood,
Yeah.
but it's still not the way it was when I was younger.
Yeah. Like, honestly, like, the place I live right now, if you were to look at it from the outside, and trust me, I know what my neighborhood looks like from the outside, like, you'd be like, oh, there's obvious drug use, there's obvious crime, like, that community probably isn't very close. We're very close, at least on my section, because I live on quite a long road altogether, but my section where it is, they are very close. All the neighbors talk to each other, they know each other, they help each other, like, and it is very nice to see in the town of Medford, honestly.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, I think we're going to wind down on this episode. And so, if you felt it too, the disconnect, the grief, the shift in the air, know you're not alone. Some of us still showed up, some rested, some of us couldn't even try. But the truth is, we're all navigating a new relationship with this country, and that deserves space, honesty, and a little less red, white, and blind.
Couldn't agree more.
So I hope that this year, if you felt the difference, you drop your story in the comments. You message us, you write us, email, whatever, and let us know what your experience was. We get enough people giving us different perspectives. We may come back and do another episode and bring your perspective in, because realistically, this is our podcast for our opinion to share with the world, but we want your opinion as well. We don't want to just hear our own voices over and over.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what we're about.
We've always said that we have very different viewpoints from each other, and we still love each other and communicate well. We would love to hear, especially if it's a different opinion than ours. Like, I love hearing just people's real life thoughts and feelings. Like, I want to know.
And with that being said, please like, share, and subscribe. Come back, same place, same time next week. Just the reminder, we are shifting from 6 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on the release time. So we will see you at 3:30 p.m. on Mondays. Have a great week.
We're also available on Spotify. We said what we said, and we're just getting started. Thanks for listening. Now go rage responsibly. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.